Okay, so what did we do last time? And how did it affect your life in the past week? We learned about unconditional love. We learned about the power of sharing ourselves in order to uplift ourselves to all the hands of a friend to raise his consciousness, to get out from negativity, or being observed with the ego. Anyone try it out on his friends? Took his hand and said, let me help. Any experiences? Our friends online wants to share something? Who wants to share? Yes, please. Jay.
I met a friend that I had in Brazil when we were 10 to 12 years old. We lived in the same building in São Paulo. I had no idea he has been living here from all countries in the world. And so I met him 38 years later, last Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's magical.
Yeah.
Nice. And your friends now again?
Yeah. I don't think we lost communication, but yeah, we have each other's contact.
Did it change?
38 years. He has a family, a dog.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
So who exercise getting out of the comfort to give more unconditional love to others? Please share with us.
Just a mic, huh?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So I really made it a priority to connect with as many people as I could this week with that intention of, the reason that we're here is to share love and as much as we can. And it was really beautiful because I'd been going through a really difficult time. And so I found myself isolating. It happened so subtly that all of a sudden I'm like, wow. And then there was the snowstorm, the blizzard. And I was like at home, snowed in London. So I really set this intention to reach out to so many of my friends and just connect deeply with them and listen to them. But I had that intention of sharing, and it was so good for our relationships. And it really took me out of that isolation, and it reminds me of when we give, we receive.
Yeah, it's completely shift our energy when we observe with our own shticks, miseries, being stuck. The best thing to get out of ourselves is to really share. Did you guys have an opportunity to share some of the lessons that it could be a video on social media? Did you try to share that with friends? Anything, a post, a lesson, a slide? Yeah, have you tried that? Yes? No, not so much? Why? This is what it's all about. As it's inspiring you, especially if you feel that it's done something to you, it can do something exactly the same to someone else. So I know we respect the space of our friends. I know that everyone has his own path, but when you commit yourself to understand that everyone needs the light, anyone is looking for their next level, anyone, and if you do it unconditionally, and you're not afraid what they're going to think about you, what happened to you, start learning Kabbalah, belong to a cult, if it's about you, you're never going to share. But if it's more about them, you won't even care what's people might think about you. Of course, you need to be considerate what you share. Yeah. So you don't share like everything, dripping things, a nice slogan, a nice piece of consciousness, a nice principle. And you will see how it's going to uplift you. What was that?
The technology is weird.
Yes. So I really encourage you to test it out. You know, from the bottom of your heart, don't be forceful, but our dynamic, our culture these days is live and let die. You know, PC, we call it. We all like politically correct, you know. If you share too much, oh, they're gonna sue me. You know, we everyone is thinking not to offend someone else, but I promise you that if you're gonna do things like that from the heart, it's gonna get to the hearts of people, and that's how you evolving consciousness. That's how energy flows and more positivity come to other people. So I really recommend try it out. Okay, so let's move to the lesson of today. Reclaim the power of your soul. How? Don't let the ego control your life. Okay, this is, we need probably to move this. So we know that the ego is being defined as the mechanism that the opponent uses in order for us to focus on something very narrow and specific. Is to give identity to some kind of feeling that I have, some kind of lack that trigger. Yeah. And so the ego is pretty much a mechanism that diverts us from connecting to the light. So it's either you act with ego or either you act with your soul. Okay? There are two ways to function in this world. So we learned a bit about the ego. We know that no one is really free out of the control of the ego in this world. And all the process why we came to this world is really to identify, to recognize our ego traits and to transform them. Because it's part of life. It's not a bad word. Ego is part of our essence. Yeah? Because we are pretty much combined from two things. One is the ego, which is related more to the body consciousness, remember from Kabbalah 1? And second is the soul, that is connected more to the eternal existence of everything. It's part of the divine. It's part of the endless. A spark of it was inserted inside of us. So it's unlimited, it's miraculous, but the moment we fall into the ego, then we are shrinking. We are shrinking our capacity to receive light. Can you receive light through the ego? Yes. Not a lot. Not a lot. Not a lot. And it could be, for some people, it's a lot. Yeah? It could be that for some people it's enough because they're driven by the ego. Their success is driven by the ego. Everything that they do is driven by the ego. So the moment they sustain their ego, they feel light, they feel fulfillment. But this is so far from the endless light. Yes? Okay. So the idea is today we're going to get into the depth of breaking down the main ego extensions. The main ego extensions been shared by a Kabbalist that is named the Ari, the Holy Ari from Tzfat. He lived 500 years ago, and he put together his writings. He couldn't do it himself. So, some Kabbalists, they never meant to write things down. And I tell you why. But their students usually put things in writings. So there always comes someone else that have the capacity to put things in writing. One is a channel, and one put things in writing. But both need to be super, humans in order to do that. You cannot otherwise, because there's so much detail, so much knowledge. So the Holy Ari from Tzfat, he decoded creation, he decoded the understanding of the upper, the lowers, the angels. He decoded a reincarnation. Yeah. And he decoded how someone can connect to divine inspiration. Yeah, divine inspiration is how can someone be a channel for and to see, to have more transparency in seeing the world. Yeah, that's divine inspiration, that you can see the future in a way. We have that capacity. Yeah. So among the other things, he gave us the main roots, extensions of our ego. They're not the only one, but they're governing pretty much all the ego aspects that you have. So if they are the roots, the rest of those things that related to the ego are just branches of those roots. Okay? So we're going to tap into them today and learn. But first, let's try to share. What situation trigger your reactive behavior repetitively? So try to write down whatever comes to you. So write down what is kind of taking you out of balance when it happens constantly. Now, try to figure out what is the lack that was awakened in those repetitive situations. What is the void, the lack? Let's say if something triggers you, okay? Let's say someone at work says something behind your back, okay? You know that they're gossiping about you. What does it make you feel? What kind of lack do you experience out of that? Okay, is that making sense? Because everything that happens triggers something, awakens something. Let me give you examples here, okay? And you can add, it's not necessarily need to be those, but fear, security, impatience, feeling empty, worthless, being hurt, insecurity, hopeless, feel less than, out of control, abandoned, loneliness, guilt, shame, sadness, confusion, boredom, insignificance, and more. But those are just examples for you. And maybe someone wants to share online or here. Yes, Mike.
Online. No. Oh, okay. Yeah. So the reactive behavior for me is triggered when being rejected, when there's a situation of rejection, even if my ATM card is rejected, any rejection.
Okay. So you don't like being rejected.
Yes, and then I feel like I guess this is also one of my tikkuns is abandonment and insecurity, abandonment trauma and insecurity. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like this is what's maybe I'm answering a third question here. What's this making me learn is how to be whole on myself without needing that validation from the external source, and knowing that I'm connected, like I'm not abandoned even if there's an external party that's not there for that moment. Because sometimes what happened later on is I feel like my feeling isn't even rooted in reality, where no one really nothing is left, but I just got so panicked because someone I really care for went missing for a
You're building a story.
A story in my head.
Story is also repetitive and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way that the neurons function because you got used to that
Yeah,
already.
yeah. Or I attract like the same type of, let's say, in relationship, unavailable person, which create like awakens that lack, which is within me.
Rejection
Yeah,
eventually.
which is not necessarily on me, but it's awakening that. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay, beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. More examples, please. More examples.
Parenting, and I solo parent. So I'm widowed. So I parenting is all on me, and that responsibility falls on me all the time, forever, since my son was born. And I feel so much impatience and sadness and out of control and fear and everything about raising a kid for years to come. And there's so, it just feels like this burden. It's also a story I tell myself that's a bad habit because there's like a lot of perks to the autonomy of raising a kid, doing it your own way entirely. So I like that the issue of a story was brought up. Like, you tell yourself that it means all these terrible things. And I'm kind of sick of carrying that because it's kind of, there is like a feeling of hopelessness and why am I doing this alone? And I can't believe it went like this for me, and impatience wanting to get ahead to something else. But then you're wishing your kid's life, like young life away because you're like, oh, there'll be something better later when he's older. It's going to get easier or whatever. And it's not.
How old is he?
Now he's 6.5. Now he's almost 7. But there's something about day in, day out. It's me. I have to, ever since he was a newborn, my husband died of cancer. Since he was not even a month old, it's like every diaper change, every butt wipe, every meal, every getting him ready for school, every lunch I have to pack for him, everything all the time should feel like, oh, I get to parent, I get to be a mom. And all it's felt like because of the grief is just like all lack everywhere. Like I didn't get to do it the way I wanted to. So it discounts it.
Yeah.
And if that's every day, so it's like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like,
Yeah,
constantly.
It's a very strong story because it attached to loss, probably coming for the unknown, not expected. So, and it's left you with that. So, absolutely, because eventually that's where the ego wants us to go. Eventually, it wants us to go to a dead end, that things are going down. That's the point, and things are never going to be better, and it's never allows us to be in the present. It's like those worries that attach to it, and wow, this is going to last forever, all these difficulties and whatever, isn't it? And this drilling in our head and not allowing us really to enjoy the presence
all day long, just facing like the next situation that's kind of triggering because it's repetitive, and boredom is like, I'm glad that's up there because that's a lot of it as well.
It's too much of a routine.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I'm trapped in this. Oh my God. But I also kind of love it. I wouldn't want to not have it. Like it's also kept me going. Like I have so much gratitude in it. It's very confusing.
But as we said last week, it's giving you a lot of opportunity to be
So
unconditional.
yes, so I should be happy about that. Kabbalah is showing you that
You haven't been last week, no?
I was online. I was watching. Yeah, I was at home.
So I said that, we received so much hatred from our children that it's giving us so many opportunities to.
So I should be glad. Like Kabbalah is showing me that a day that's easy isn't the greatest day because you didn't have any. If there was no darkness for you to be the light for, that's not a great day.
And that's the story of the ego, pretty much. Why? Because the ego is have to be there. We cannot just say, "Oh, I don't want ego to be in reality." So it's there to overcome. It's not there to fall into. It's there really to understand that behind it there is a treasure. Behind it there is a light. Behind it there is strength that's coming. Okay, so it's necessary, and whatever lack that is triggering within you, within each and every one of us in those repetitive situations, it is there really to, first, if we want to relate it to the classes before, to understand that we carry those shells of negativity, okay? So the moment a lack is awakened, it means that there is a shell there that's going to cause me some pain. And I just need to understand that this lack that's been triggered is illusionary. And it's a spiritual shell that disconnecting me from the light. So I need to focus on how to break down the shell, how to overcome the shell, and not to fall into the movie of the shell. The shell speak out to us and show us, listen, this is the distorted reality. It's showing us a story of a distorted reality that the light is not present. And there's going to be a finite ending to the story. That's what it's trying to convince us. This is the disconnect from the light. Because when you feel connected to the light, even in a difficult situation, you're going to be awful. You're going to be certain. And this is part of the training that we are doing constantly. But we cannot train ourselves unless we're not calling the ego a name. So we are here to say, oh, I see you, ego. Part of the work with the opponent is to identify it. The moment you call it a name, you say, oh, I see anger. Oh, I see insecurity. I see judgment. I see jealousy. I see hatred comes from me. And it's coming from all of us. Sometimes we're ashamed because how come this hatred is coming from me? Why this anger is pouring out of me after so many years of investing in my spiritual work? And you ask yourself where it's coming from, and you're ashamed. You say, oh, yeah, but it's there. This is part of the system. And so the question is what I'm supposed to do with it. So, as we said, lack will always be triggered constantly. Meaning that whatever happens in life that we don't like, usually is triggering a lack. Yeah. So the lack get triggered. Now I need to decide where I'm going to use this lack for. Is it going to nourish my ego bank? Or is it going to give me an opportunity to say, no matter what, I'm connecting to the light? Okay? So I'm remembering that it has a reason why it's there, but I don't want to throw it into the ego bank. And so what is the ego bank? It's saying, listen, I'm going to compensate on this lack by feeling a certain way, by acting a certain way that is selfish. There is no continuity in giving energy to the ego. That's the problem. It's all about me. It's all about trying to solve the issues that I feel right now within me. I try to compensate and say, yeah, I need some cure. And what would be the cure? Usually it's reactive. And when it's reactive, what's going to happen eventually? That I'm losing my soul energy and give it away to the shell. And the shell gets fitted and it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So what are the 5 roots that the Ari shared with us? So the first root of our ego is judgment. So I think it's one of the strongest one because we are constantly judging. For us, it's an opinion. For us, it's a differentiation. For us, it's just seeing the world in separation. So we are constantly being possessed by giving names to things. That's what judgment. This is good. This is bad. This is nice. This is unpleasant. This is painful. And we are constantly in this reality called good and bad, which it's unfortunate because we said we want to connect to the reality of the tree of life. In reality of the tree of life, there is no judgment. I'm just present. I'm just observing. Yeah, I see my reactivity. I see my stress, but I'm saying, wait a second. I want to control it. Yeah, you're not falling into the movie of separation. So there is a constant fight to switch from the tree of knowledge, good and bad. So my knowledge, my opinion is telling me that what's happening right now in the street is unfair. Yeah, it's unfair, but I don't know the details. And what happens in politics, it's unfair. What happens, and I'm constantly giving my energy in seeing usually what is judgment? Seeing the bad. I'm seeing the bad in situation in others. And that's draining all my energy. That's the problem. And we all do it all the time from the moment we wake up. We wake up, and of course, there is the judgment that is external towards the outside, and there is the self-critic about ourselves. Oh, again, I didn't wake up on time. Oh, again, I fall and ate the wrong food. Oh, again, so we judging ourselves. Yeah? So this is the negative side of judgment. Judgment is to come sometimes, and you will see that all of those are intermingling. They're all intermingling because, pride, it means that I'm judging others feeling more superior than them, and they're less smart than me. In a sense, they're all intermingle. So what is the good thing about judgment that can connect us to the light is to make sure that I'm able to define between what is giving energy to me and what is pulling me down. So we need a sense of differentiation, what is good in this world and what is bad in this world. We need a self, yeah, especially when it's come to ourself. So it's helping us to be safe also, because otherwise, if you don't judge whatsoever, you're going to become some kind of a naive fool, and some people that they don't have this essence within them, which is the level of the gvura, the level of the fire. The fire sign, for example, they are the most judgmental. Yeah. Because it's coming, the judgment is coming from some kind of demand. It's coming from the place that I know better. That's the reason it's closer to pride too. Okay, so judgment. The next one is anger. Anger. Anger, it's things are not going my way. Therefore, I'm angry. People are not listening to me. It's the feedback. Things are not going my way. That's anger. Okay? What is the danger in anger? Anger is a time that from a place of insecurity, I can suddenly feel power. In a sense, there is an illusionary power in feeling angry. You will see people that turn into anger, they suddenly feel that they are controlling the world. They are capable of doing things. Again, that's also related to the fire sign. Fire signs. Aries, Leon.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Scorpio, which is the fire, the water. Yeah.
Speaking about anger and Aries, there's one club that banned all Aries from going there because they get drunk and angry very quickly. Like literally, it's like, if you're Aries, you don't go in New York or somewhere.
Ah, really?
Really?
That's interesting. That's very interesting. So there is something very interesting that the Kabbalists share about anger, that the moment you falling into anger, says that the soul cannot stay within your body. It's have to go out. Because there is no affinity between anger and the soul. The soul is kindness, it's mercy, it's love. So when you fall too strongly into anger, the soul have to go out till you calm down. But what is the danger? Because the soul is pretty much the protection shield of the body. So if part of the soul left, it means that you are left intact to the negativity that is around. So that's how dangerous it is. So what does it mean? Okay, anger is awakened, things are not going my way. Someone did that to me. I feel the rage, but I cannot explode. So this is where self-control started to take place. I don't want to lose it. They call it to lose it. What you lose your soul. That's what it means. You lose your temper, but you lose your soul. True anger is to be angry at our ego. So how you can divert it because it's a driving force. It's a fire driving force. So I can use it to increase desire. Okay? Increasing desire. So for example, they say that one of the ways of the opponent, before I'm about to experience something like a breakthrough, financial, in different places in life, I'm going to have an opportunity to fall into anger. Yeah? So knows that usually anger is one of the mechanisms that the opponent wants to drain your energy, so you won't get rewarded, but with what you're supposed to be rewarded. Whatever it is, relationship, financial, anything that's important to you before it's about to happen, you can be tested by falling into anger. Yes, question.
What about sadness?
Sadness.
Does the sadness impede your reception of something just as anger does?
Like if you get really sad before a breakthrough, like
Yeah,
sadness ever
yeah.
kind of flu as
Yeah.
well. as
Yeah.
anger. You get really sad before something really good happens.
Yeah.
So sadness is always related to the earth signs. It's related to heaviness. It's related to passiveness, being slow to move,
Okay.
thinking too much.
So can it be related to judgment then? Can sadness be under judgment because you're judging something negatively, so you're sad?
It's a form of luck, the sadness. It means that I don't believe that the light is present right now for me.
It can also be a sign that you're about to have a breakthrough.
Sadness?
Yeah. Just like anger.
I'm not sure. No, not sure. Sadness, I think, is something that we invest in. So it means that it's not just, oh, suddenly I'm sad, because it's something that you go down and down, and when you're in the lowest, that's where melancholy starts, and you see that there is no way. Yeah. Yes.
Just regarding it, because I know they're trying to match it. Wouldn't that be pride? It's like, why would I be sad? Like, if I'm to be honest, I've had the same thing where you've been really, really sad, and then something miraculous happens. So sometimes you get excited when you're sad because you're like, oh no, I know this is going to be good because, before the darkness, the dawn, or whatever the saying goes. I don't know, dawn or whatever. But anyways, but like, wouldn't sadness be pride? Like, why would I be sad? Like, my soul's not sad, my ego's sad. Like, something happens and you get sad, it's because your pride's broken. No. Maybe I know it's not for I know there's different cases, but like hypothetically, something happens, I'm sad, I feel sorry for myself, I sit in my room all day.
The word ego, when it's come to Kabbalistic term, it's relates more to pride. Ego, it's called gava, so it means that that's the root. The pride is the root. It's like meaning that the ego didn't get what he wants, so he responds in different ways. He responds in judgment, he responds in anger, he responds in the desire to control, he responds in sadness, he responds in this depression. But the bottom line, the ego wasn't really.
But why am I sad? My soul doesn't get sad, does it? Is my soul?
No,
so
no.
what gets sad? My ego. So is it pride? if I'm sad all the time, I just I'm sad because
It's
I didn't get my
definitely
way.
ego that relates to pride, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it would relate to pride because if you're sad all the time,
Imagine
ego.
yourself someone that is not really appreciated for what he does. He doesn't have recognition. He's making a lot of effort. Yeah. So the ego and the pride get hurt, so it can turn into sadness too. Sadness could be one result, or anger can be a result also. Oh, I don't get what I want. People not listen to me, so I become violent or try to attract attentions. There are many ways that our reactive system could operate, but it's usually come from those 5 branches and 5 roots. Yes.
Dina is asking, isn't sadness underneath anger? Maybe it's under.
Yeah.
All of those start with sadness. You're sad and then your ego kicks in and tries to help.
I think sadness is more of a branch of one of those. Yeah. So let's say I give you another example. Judgment can create isolation. Yeah. What does it mean? It says, oh, I don't like how this behave. I don't like how that's taking place. So you're creating isolation. And usually, eventually, if you isolate it enough, what happened in COVID, people start to isolate themselves. Yeah, and they become depressed. Depression leads to sadness, and so on and so on. Yeah. So it's a result that can happen from anything. Yeah. So if it could be related more to judgment and pride. But also we get to number 5 too, and I explain you that this is also can lead to sadness. Okay. Yeah.
You're saying breakthrough can come, you'll know because a lot of things are triggering anger. So you're saying that the goal is that each time you notice there's an opportunity to become angry, you don't?
Absolutely. If you control this anger
Then there's almost
and
like a word.
you hold on to this strong fiery energy and you channel it into the opportunity that's just going to come after, you mean it's like you hold the fire inside of you.
So it's
You
there,
don't
but
let
you don't do anything.
you don't let the anger take it or the reactive system take it, and then the opportunity that comes, you can use that fire energy to just to claim that reward. Yeah. So if it's a job opportunity, so wow, it's energy. It means that if you deplete all your aura, all your energy because you were very reactive, and then you come into a job interview, it doesn't matter how smart you are, they're not going to feel your energy. But if they felt that you made a restriction, and so
Okay.
you understand?
Thank you.
It's all about ways, all of those ways for us to deplete our energy.
I just remember from Kabbalah 1, like one of the most like transformational lessons was this whole like pause, what a pleasure. And so the way that I understood it is that when there's something in our external 3D world that triggers a sense of anger, then first of all, we're saying like, I don't accept that this moment is happening for me. This is not the way it should be. So then we're taking power from that unlimited source. But if we're able to recognize that this event is triggering a large reaction to me, and I'm going to label it as anger, like based on these sensations, then that's my cue at that moment to like pause and then ask the creator, okay, what is this experience here to try to tell me about me? And it's this discipline of turning it over, asking for the light in that exact moment, instead of, I guess, falling asleep into the program of, acting in that habitual way, but stopping and saying, why is this in my movie? What's my opportunity to learn about me? How can I master this experience with your light? And it's that, it's, I guess, that process that, the filament and the restriction and the light back and the light to you, whatever, then you get, that's when like these breakthroughs can happen. There's the potential for that breakthrough. That's the way that I worked it out in my head. And then with the,
But now we're going deeper, remember, because now we're breaking it down to understand that the shell system,
yeah,
it's manifested through ego. Yeah.
Okay.
So if judgment, anger, control is awakened, so I say, okay, I know it's about my tikkun. Yeah. So I'm asking out from the light not to lose energy and feed my shell system. Because when I'm going to start, so the process of transformation, of course, the first thing is, okay, pause. What a pleasure. I know it's coming for a reason. But what's the reason? Because I have a shell. And this shell, because there is a lot of light that wants to come to me right now, it's giving me really the opportunity to take energy back from the shell instead of giving energy to the shell. So I'm reclaiming sparks. I'm getting back, collecting sparks from the shell that I gave in the past. And past could be past years, past reincarnation. So I'm reclaiming the spark out by not being reactive. So if I have the tendency to fall into one of those strongly, the moment I'm finding the way to control it, I'm reclaiming the spark from it, and I'm weakening judgment. I'm weakening anger till I'm free. The process of tikkun is to free myself out from those. Now we're just breaking it down it's more vivid to understand. It's there because that's part of my correction. All right? Okay. More questions? Yes.
Push my brain. If a correction from past lives, if you want something right now in life, is that ego that maybe you won't get that unless, but it is an option if you can sort out the past stuff? Like if you want something, if there's a desire, a goal,
Like
and you
what?
feel like,
Give us an
oh,
example.
well, as a young romantic widow, it was my hope that I would be rewarded for handling grief so well with a fantastic next, new partner. So years of
Yeah.
dating and scenarios and tickuns, like, okay, figure out how to be on your own and be happy about it. I'm starting to feel like in all my scenarios, which I'm grateful for, it's a lot of great
But
learning.
listen, the beauty. Let's have a conversation. You're saying, okay, I've been through a lot. My true desire is to find my soulmate now. Yeah.
But if I already had a soulmate and he died, is this past life stuff that I'm here to be like, well, I'll have to find out for the rest of my life what it's like to now be
No.
alone.
This is not, life is not a torture. Things have to happen this way for many different reasons. For both of you, okay. The question is next. Next is not suffering all your life. It doesn't work this way. This is not the purpose of life. So if you have true desire to meet, whatever you call it, soulmate, love, partner, there is no one soulmate. Yeah. So if you have that desire, it means that it's a godly desire. But in order for you to get it, you have to deal with those.
And sometimes it can just be years. Years.
Depends on your investment and progress. Now, so the moment you see life as a burden with your son and you feel neglected and unsatisfied, of course it's not contributing to your energy field to find the one.
Which is fair enough. And I had to learn that over quite a number of years. So I fully appreciate that now.
So as fast as you go loving your life as it is, that's how you accelerate the process to get to your real desire. By overcoming those, because those are the main blocks, the roots of the ego that prevent you, eventually, the shells that prevent you to your own desire. Because if you have a desire, it means this is what God wants for you too. Understand? But why people don't get what they want is because they are too fixated on what they want to achieve, not on what they need to restrict and correct. So the focus is not, oh, where is he? When it's going to come? Never going to come.
Well, and beyond that now, it's more like when you talk about stuff that we're sorting out from the past, and are we adding shells, but then we take some away? But then the ego stuff, because we're talking about ego, it's like, how much of me just, I guess my question was how much of me just wants what I want because I want it, but actually if I've all this tikkun is showing me that actually you're going to have to learn and deal with a lot of stuff for a long time to make up for past life stuff that I don't know
That's
about.
the opponent talk.
Okay.
You cannot focus on that.
Okay.
I'm certain that the creator is always present. I know there is a process, but I want the creator to be with me and to give me the strength to go to whatever in the shortest way possible. This is your objective. Don't think about, oh, it's going to take too long. This is the opponent talk to us, you know, and that's delaying things.
Got
It's
it.
part of the ecosystem, you know.
And once you get what you want, if there's like a main thing you want in life and you do get it, does the ego and the tikkun will be like, well, we'll steer you over this way now, and these will be your challenges? Like you thought that was the
people
thing?
think, oh, they got this or that, they made the money, or they got the soulmate, or they got married, so it's the end of the line. No,
Yeah.
it's just beginning a new chapter.
There's always going to be something.
Yeah.
Like, there's no solving this.
So to have some kind of humility, saying, okay, it's not because of me I achieve whatever I achieved, is because there was an help intervention from the light that helped me. Therefore, I'm appreciated. Therefore, I'm ready for the next task. Therefore, life goes on. Yeah, some people come to Kabbalah, they invest, they work on themselves, and they get what they want. And then they quit.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
It's happened to many. I saw it over the years, and it's a pity. You say, okay, you got what I want, but you know there is endless more. Why to stop here? Yeah.
Can I add something?
Wait.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to add something to you because I was a widow at 25 and my husband passed away with lung cancer.
Wow.
So, and it was a shock for everybody because it was in a very short time. And also because, you know, at that time, he was a dentist and there was a young fellow who was big, he was tall, and, you know, he was perfect, and was the love of my life. And you know what? And my thought was, why me? Why now? Why I just got married? So to answer your question, if it's going to happen, it's going to come on the way, what is going to, you know, because it's difficult because in my case, I thought I would never get married again. I will never find anybody anymore. And you know what? I will tell you my experience. I don't think that you will never find that type of connection that you have at that time. And you will have to. Yeah, I've been there. But you know what? As you grow yourself, you will see that your next relationship may not be the love of our life like it was at that time, but it will be a different type of love, because now you grew and now you have gone through all this crap in a way, right? And because you evolve, the next relationship will come when you least expect it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't limit
Yeah.
the quality of that relationship. It could
But
I wouldn't limit, you know, I don't know. Wouldn't be the same, but it could be greater too. Why not?
it could be greater, but because now you're, yeah.
Especially when we are spiritual, the relationship can be so much more. Okay, so where did we stop? Control. So controlling is usually a result of us lacking the trust in the light. And lacking the trust in the light uses control as a replacement for the light. So, oh, I don't trust the light. So maybe if I control every little aspect of my life and the people around me, then I'm going to feel safe. I want to feel safe. We all want to feel safe. So the safe, it's either through trust and just let go. You know, the exercise that you have to stand on the chair and you trust that the friend's going to catch you when you fall down. Have you tried that in the different, everyone tried it before? How was it? Was difficult for some of you? Yeah? You did that? Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, I saw people that doing it when we used to do it in classes. We see some people are so afraid and, Even when they let go, it's not completely letting go, and there are many tricks. So you say you can catch the person just before he catching is on the floor. There's many tricks that you can do just to see how the person is really trusting. But that's the whole point. When you trust the light, there is no need for controlling every aspect. So the fear is the unknown. Don't know what's gonna happen. But the control is limiting me. Is pretty much I'm losing all the excitement. So someone that is control is more, how do you say? His muscles are more, his back is more tense. Everything, because you need to control everything. And then it can lead to anger, So I told you, all of those things are intertwined. So what is the good aspect of control? It's self-control. The control of me being accountable to what I want to get in life, to how I direct my life, how I build my routine, how I control me not falling into the different temptations that exist. And we all fall in that. So that's how we can use self-control, what we call. Self-control is powerful.
Self-control, restriction?
Of course. Yeah. Only to restriction. So the next one is pride. So pride is to the necessity to feel that I'm the center of the universe. I'm number one. Now, we all have that desire, and it's not a bad thing because remember, we have the divine force inside of us. And the divine force is number one. The divine force, the creator, the soul is always feels that it's number one. It's the unique. It is so. But the question is how to take it to a place of uniqueness and not feeling that I'm above others. Yeah? That I'm constantly bragging when I don't get the approval or acknowledgement. So I need to prove myself to others. Yeah? How many of us just show off on things that we do? That's coming from pride. It means that I'm not trusting also, again, that the light sees my qualities. And I need to get that validations from other people. All right? How to use pride is to understand that I'm unique. That's the positive. I'm unique. I have a very special gift inside of me. But it's coming from humbleness. It's not me. It's not belongs to me. It's the divine that gave that to me. So that's how you use pride in a positive way. So I stand tall because the light force is inside of me. Is that making sense? That's a good pride. And the last one is all those times when we fall into the physical lust, addictions, things that completely control us. It means that we seeing that those things are the source of the light and we cannot do without them. Yeah? So if I'm addicted to food, drugs, sexual behaviors, all of those things, it's where I can lose a lot of energy. So any sexual addiction for men would lead to sadness, by the way. That's when we want to talk about the sadness again. Told you I'm going to mention that to you. So it's known to be that every time we fall into sexual addictions, that we need the bodily, how do you say? Okay. And we depended on that, and that's the source of our energy, and we cannot do without it. It means that we kind of disconnect from our soul, from the divine. So now the exercise that we're going to do is we're going to divide to 5 groups. Yes.
How we can turn the physical lust into something positive? You said like the other egos, how we can.
So to come from love, not from lust. Yeah. It's like.
Oh, I love this chocolate cake.
But if you love your body and soul, you say chocolate cake. I can have only tiny bites once a week, not every day, all day. Yes. So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna divide to 5 different groups. So let's say judgment gonna be here on this table, anger gonna be here on this table, control gonna be here, and pride gonna be here. Last can online, how many people you have online? Each person gonna be by himself? Yeah, okay.
We
So
have 10.
Can you divide them to, but how are you gonna do that? Yeah, can you call them a name?
So do them online, also the 5 groups.
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can do it.
Maybe they're just gonna share each one.
What if they stay with physical laws? Like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are the 5, like the 5 table or not?
Yeah,
Or
but
one.
if they feel that they're connected to something else, I think just let them talk. You guys going to share, and everyone share some of his experience, because we all carry those 5 inside of us. Okay, so each and every one will share what is affecting him the most in the online. And here you're just going to spread yourself out, as we said, judgment, and you're in the anger. Really, I didn't know. Control, pride. Okay? You staying in the anger?
I was so for judgment over here. I would love to go to whatever table. What if everyone goes at one table? If we all feel angry, then
It's okay. If that's what you feel, what can we do? And hear more. So share among yourself how this anger or judgment or pride is enveloped in your life. Okay? Yeah, move. This is judgment, anger, control, pride. Choose one. Choose one and move. Don't stay because you're lazy. Choose one.
So is there a physical last one?
We can skip that. We can keep it private. So just share a little bit about how is your experience around any of those in your group, so you can learn from one each other more about this ego type, because the whole purpose is that we can recognize it more in our life. Anger management.
frustration and patience.
Just share about our judgment envelop in your life, your experience, so you can learn more about judgment from each and every one of you.
And I wrote you this, and I didn't say this, because I don't want to now, like,
For those of you, if you can hear me, we can also just, if you can unmute yourselves, because I don't actually have hosting privileges, we can talk amongst ourselves on this.
There you go. That would be perfect. It doesn't interfere with like the big room.
I think so. I think Ellie Det has it where she can mute it or not. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great. This is awesome. I
Well,
can't believe
welcome.
I missed the first three, but this has been such a good one to start with. Holy.
It's okay. yeah, I guess some of them have been pretty heavy hitting. But yeah, like you can follow up pretty quickly. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to message me or Ellie Det.
Thank you. Yeah. And I realized too, like, I mean, I have the option of like reaching out to you guys, and it said even like you can reach out to David. I'm just like, this is such an opportunity to be learning so much. And it's just been such a busy time, and I'm not carving out enough time. But and for a bit, like for a little bit, I was feeling like I almost wanted to go back to just the very beginning of Kabbalah 1, because I was finding that initially when I started, it was making me like super happy. And then I found like I was getting really judgmental about myself, and kind of it was harder, like it felt more depressing almost. So I'm just like all over the map with how I'm learning and applying different things.
Yeah, I could see that. Thanks for being honest about that. I think there's ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And there, it's true. Once we actually start to kind of do the work, that is applying the tools, it makes us very naked to our behaviors in the past and a lot more accountable. And that can be uncomfortable. But I would just add that the guilt and shame, that's just a tool of the opponent. So you
Yeah.
really can't carry that, or else then it's all for naught, you know? So, like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying compartmentalize, but at a certain point, say, hey, this happened, acknowledge it, and move forward. Because the past is not something we can change. So we really have to be very present.
Well, and I think like, I don't know if anybody else wants to talk, but like, I've worked through a lot of stuff. Like when I talk about number 5, I mean, my whole life has been like an eating disorder and then drinking, and like I'm coming up to a year sober, and I've done a ton of work. I'm looking at kind of deepening my spiritual connection, and this is a path that I really like. So yeah, I'm just careful to like I don't want to get into judgment around myself. Like I do have an understanding of how things have happened and why they've happened. So I want to keep moving forward, but I want it to, it's not that I don't want hard times. That's fine. And learning is fine and challenges are fine. But I have to really, like, I do have depression. And so I have to really be careful about kind of, I guess, checking in with myself and the state that I'm in when I'm doing some of this work. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it can be easy. It can be easy for me to turn it against myself rather than use it as a tool that, keeps me in the light,
Yeah,
right?
the sword instead of, something to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, it's certainly not supposed to have the sense of like self-flagellation at all. Um,
Yeah. And like what he
and I
said
think,
about like life is not meant to be suffering. Like that's not the point. And so I just find sometimes I have to really kind of watch, yeah, how I'm applying things. And
well, I mean, something that's really true about what he said too, especially for like, say, number one, that is your ego that's trying to make you feel bad and to create that self-judgment and that feeling of lack of worthiness. So if you're
yes.
able to sit in that moment, then you can
Yeah.
actually separate yourself from that belief because that's
Yeah.
not you, that's your ego that's trying to tell you a story.
Yes.
Um, so it's
Yeah.
important to be able to catch that. Not always so easy to, of course.
Yeah.
But
I know. And that's what I find. Like my judgment is not so much other people, it's myself, right?
right, yeah, that's where it begins for most of us. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm dominating. I'm gonna shut up so other people can talk.
Thank you for sharing. That's the whole point of this, like to
Thank you.
unpack it. Does anyone else want to share? I noticed in the chat Dina had mentioned control. Is there anyone else online who wants to share about anything that they recognize? All, some, none of this list?
I can share.
Thank you.
This is Dina. Hi, Henry. It's funny doing it this way because I'm used to seeing you on the screen, but that's all good.
Oh, I
Voice
am
is
on the
good.
screen.
Oh, you are? I can't see you. Can you see me?
No, I
You just
can
have your
see,
picture, Dina. You haven't
see a
got your
picture.
video on.
I
Where's
can
the?
see like start and Danny.
Oh, my view is probably.
Yeah, you
Oh,
go to
there we go.
all,
Okay,
and then
there
you
we
got to
go.
put your video on.
Okay. Hi. Sorry. It's just the way the group is set up today. But anyway, hi. Yeah, I can share a little bit about the control thing. One thing that's really been helping me with these courses is trying to separate the ego self and all of the shells that David was talking about that are part of the ego. I just keep seeing those shells, trying to separate that from the light self or the God self, the creator self. And so I try to recognize that any moment of trying to control, or any of these really, is just identifying with that shell. And so in every moment, not every moment, but I try to, throughout my day, like if I notice myself in a thought of control, trying to control the outcome of something, trying to control a situation, or if it was judgment, like, noticing judgment coming up, like I'll constantly, or no, I don't I keep saying constantly. My goal will be constantly. But I'm in moments now saying, okay, am I actually, which part of myself am I identifying with the shell, the clipo, or the
Right.
ego, or am I identifying with the divine self that is so much stronger than that? And I find with these different root ego tikkuns, or like, I find they're different for everyone, right? We all have more weaknesses, some weaknesses, and some are easier to manage. But for me with control, I find it such a catch-22, because certainty is like one of the biggest things in Kabbalah, and yet control is a lack of certainty.
Right.
So I try to ask myself, like, where am I right now? Am I inside the shell, or am I connected to the light? Because if I'm connected to the light, then there is no doubt, there is no worry. And so much of that has to do with my state of being, like what energetically where I'm at,
Right.
you know?
I do.
And so I try to take, like, when he was talking about the different triggers that happen, I try to notice what my own triggers are, and notice, okay, yeah, if it's traffic or whatever, or if it's being around a certain person. If we were talking last week about family, or
Hmm.
just looking at something online, like all just noticing all those triggers and how they can adjust your state, but that you also have the ability to shift your state back, right?
Right.
Anyway, I don't really know if that's a question so much as just sharing what my process has been this week.
No, but that's great. No, thank you for sharing. And I think everyone maybe needs different tips and tools on how to recognize and what you do once you recognize the ego kind of like playing tricks on you. So that's good. I appreciate that.
Oh, here's a question around that actually. How can you start to tell the difference between the ego and the opponent?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one. Um,
And if you
because
don't know, it's okay. Sometimes it's
I don't
confusing.
really know that, but I'm thinking that the ego is just like a tool of the opponent, just like we have our tools. Like the ego is just another way that the opponent like manifests
Mm.
as ego. But I'll ask and right and send the. Well, are you on my group chat, Dina?
I'm not sure. I was on Anissa's.
Okay, so I can reach out to Anissa and have her share it with you then, if you'd
Sure.
like. Or either otherwise, I'll just share it with the group, like maybe in the chat at the beginning of next week's class too, which is the difference between the opponent and the ego.
Because you can notice sometimes when the opponent is sneaking up, or, sometimes we need the outside help to notice it. But it's like, yeah, ego feels like it's more within us, right?
Mhm. Mhm. But even like the opponent isn't like I wouldn't say the opponent is entirely external either. We always have that
Okay,
place.
everyone.
Mhm.
Good. So
Okay.
I hope you were
Thank you.
able to
Thank you for that, guys.
the
Thanks.
online. Do we need to bring the online together, or they're there just in the discussion? Okay, so I hope we were able to learn from one each other, just to get more familiar, to give more identity to those shells, to these ego types, to these roots of these egos. So we understand that first we all have them, and second that when it's get triggered, we know what it is. You understand? Because most of the time the opponents try to blind us from the reactive system. Like we are the one that we are the anger, we are the pride, we are, or like we feeling it's justified to act this way. That's the problem. We feel that it's needed to act in a certain way, and it's natural. It's so we're trying to say no. We can separate it. If judgment can come, yeah, I can take control, but I can choose differently. So as much as we exercise more, getting to know better of those roots of the ego, that as much as we can catch it on time before we are reactive. Yes.
There is a question online. What is the difference between the ego and the opponent?
Okay, so we know that the opponent system was assigned to the creator. It's some kind of a angelic intelligence, the negative angelic system. Yeah, there is the positive angelic system and there is the negative. So what the opponent uses is the ego types that we have to activate whatever wrong. So it means that opponent is the energy intelligence, the negative energy intelligence, and he operates through our ego. Okay, he trigger us through our ego. He activate the ego inside of us. So it's kind of the forces that being used by the opponent. It means that he uses the logic mind. He uses the body consciousness that is already within us. Is that making sense? So this is how the true order is. The ego is being triggered by the opponent. Okay. You want to do the announcement? All right, beautiful. So looking forward. We just want to share with you about the upcoming events. We have one of the most important events of the year. It's called Hanukkah. It's the holiday of the lights. The light. It's the endless light is shining throughout those 8 days, and we lighting candles. Part of the connection to the light is through the flame of the candle, eternal candle inside of us. So we're gonna have a free session on Zoom. You can connect to learn more about it, and then you can exercise it. This is the month of miracle. It's the holiday of miracle. We're gonna explain a little bit more about it, and then we're going to light the first candle together here to initiate this. So you're invited to that. This is also going to be free, not on Zoom too, or not on Zoom, only in person. Only in person. And then we're going to celebrate in a Friday evening together with the signature of prosperity. Prosperity. It's within the frame of the Hanukkah holiday, but we have the gate to connect to prosperity through Joseph the righteous. He was the funnel, the chariot to bring prosperity to the world. So there is a huge opening on that Friday. So we're going to join together as a community, dine, celebrate, having consciousness, and definitely connect to energy, opening the gates of prosperity for ourselves. Anything else? I took your job. Yes. So the Hanukkah party, also within the frame of Hanukkah and the new moon of Capricorn and the new year 2025. So many reasons to celebrate and connect. You're all invited. It's going to be Wednesday, December 31st, also in person. So we'd love to see some of the online people joining us for the New Year event. Will be great. Yeah, it's an amazing party that we're preparing for you. So we'd love to see you. All right. Thank you very much.